Have you ever wondered what really happens after you die? Not the sugar-coated version, not the religious dogma, not the movie scene with white tunnels and angel choirs, but a forbidden 1,200-year-old map, hidden for centuries because it gave too much power back to the individual. A map that describes in detail the 49 days after death, and the soul's terrifying, beautiful, and transformative journey through consciousness, illusion, karma, and the ultimate decision, reincarnation or liberation. If this kind of truth-hitting, soul-stirring content resonates with you, don't forget to like and leave a comment below. That way, YouTube keeps showing you more videos like this. The teachings in this text were once banned, not because they were fantasy, but because they revealed too much. They didn't tell you to fear divine punishment. They told you the truth, that the soul creates its own reality, that the bardo, the in-between, reflects your own inner world, that your fears, regrets, and attachments follow you into the afterlife, unless you wake up, and that's what we're diving into today. The raw, ancient path through death's veil. We'll explore the clear light, the mirror of awareness, the terrifying illusions of the bardo realm, and the soul's final, silent test. But this isn't just about what happens when your body dies. It's about how you're living right now, because the choices you make today shape the journey after your last breath. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these teachings were hidden, and why remembering them now could change the entire trajectory of your life. They told you death was the end. But what if it's just the first breath of something much bigger? In that exact moment, when the last heartbeat fades and the silence takes over, something sacred begins. It's not chaos. It's not darkness. It's the soul's journey, unfolding in ways your conscious mind was never trained to see. This is where awareness becomes everything. Few people talk about what really happens right after death, not hours later, not days. I'm talking seconds. There's no waiting room in the afterlife. The ancient teachings say the soul is immediately met with a test, one that doesn't care about your name or achievements, just your consciousness, just your truth. And here's the twist. You've already been preparing for this test, without even knowing it. The moment of death cracks reality, wide open, and what appears isn't darkness, but a light. A clear light, blinding, yes, overwhelming, definitely, but it's not there to scare you. It's there to liberate you, if you can recognize it. Most people don't. Why? Because of fear, because of attachment, because when you live your whole life clinging to the illusion of control, letting go feels like a threat. That radiant light, pure as it is, reflects the truth of your soul. And that kind of clarity, it's terrifying if you've spent your life avoiding it. But if you embrace it, everything shifts. Imagine this. You're weightless, detached from the body, and suddenly there's this undeniable presence, this silent invitation to merge with something infinite. It's not a voice, but you feel it. The invitation is simple, merge and be free. But instead, most souls hesitate. They grip to identity, to ego, to karma, and miss the moment. And once the light fades, things get trickier. That's when the bardo begins. That's when illusions get loud, but we'll get to that. For now, understand this. Liberation doesn't start with rituals or candles. It starts in that split second after death, with whether you can see past the veil, whether your consciousness is clear enough to remember what's real. So here's the real question. If you died tonight, would you recognize the light or run from it? Because the soul doesn't wait. The test starts instantly. And what comes next will challenge everything you've ever believed about fear, illusion, and who you really are. The moment you die, something extraordinary happens. There's no tunnel, no gates, just light. Not just any light. The clear light of reality. It's not outside of you. It's you, stripped of illusion. It's like meeting your higher self and realizing it's been waiting there all along. But here's the paradox. This light is both familiar and foreign. It's the truth beneath every mask you've ever worn. And yet, most souls, when faced with it, panic. They've been so wrapped in illusion their whole lives that raw awareness feels like a threat, not a homecoming. So they recoil, they forget. Let's be honest, reincarnation doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you miss this moment, the moment where merging with the clear light means total liberation, but also total surrender. And that's scary, because surrender means giving up identity, stories, even pain. Especially pain. You've carried stories your whole life, haven't you? Stories of not being enough, of needing more time, of proving your worth. But the clear light doesn't care about your resume. It reflects your consciousness, not your accomplishments. And that's why it's so hard to face, because it sees through you, with love, but with precision. Here's where it gets wild. The light is not judging you. It's inviting you. There's no punishment here, only reflection. The pain comes not from the light itself, but from the parts of you that resist being seen. That's why most souls turn away. They aren't ready to meet themselves without filters. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that shows not your body, but your soul, your choices, your karma. The clear light is that mirror. And for a brief, sacred instant, you can become one with it. But the clock is ticking. If you don't recognize it, the bardo opens and things get messy. So let me ask you, if the light showed up for you right now, would you merge or would you hide? Because missing that chance sets the stage for everything that comes next. And what comes next is not what you think it is. Welcome to the bardo, the in-between, not quite here, not quite gone. A place where consciousness unravels and remakes itself, shaped by everything you believed, feared, desired. Think of it like a dream that feels realer than life, because in many ways it is. But there's a catch. Nothing here is what it seems. The illusions begin subtly. You see loved ones, hear familiar voices, maybe even feel peace. But none of is real. It's all projections, reflections of your karma, your attachments, your unhealed stories. And if you chase them, if you believe them, you fall deeper into the maze. You lose awareness and forget your path. Few understand how dangerous comfort can be in the bardo. Souls cling to what feels familiar, mistaking it for truth. But comfort isn't clarity, it's a trap. A beautiful one wrapped in memory, desire, and longing. And every time you choose illusion over truth, reincarnation pulls you back in. Imagine thinking you've reached paradise, only to realize you're looping through your own past. That's the bardo's trick. It gives you what you want, so it can test what you've learned. Liberation doesn't come from wishful thinking. It comes from piercing the illusion and seeing things as they truly are. Brutal, honest, free. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever chased a relationship, a job, or a dream, only to realize it was never what your soul actually needed? That's bardo energy, right here, right now. It doesn't just exist after death. It mirrors the loops we're trapped in while alive. And breaking free starts today, because if you can't recognize illusion in this life, how will you see through it in the next? The bardo doesn't suddenly make you wise. It magnifies who you already are, and that's the part most people miss. You don't rise to your potential in the bardo, you fall to your patterns. So here's the real test. What illusions are you still holding on to? Because next, the bardo stops being comforting and begins to challenge everything you fear. At first, the bardo seduces, but then it confronts. The soft illusions begin to twist. Familiar faces shift into monstrous forms. Peace turns into panic. And what stands before the soul now, terrifying, grotesque, overwhelming, are not demons. They're reflections, projections of guilt, of regret, of everything left unresolved. These so-called wrathful deities aren't here to punish. They're here to mirror. each one crafted from your own consciousness, your shadows, your secrets, your suppressed pain. The fear they generate, it's not from them, it's from you, from the refusal to face what you've buried for lifetimes. That's the real test. Can you look them in the eyes? You've seen this in waking life, that voice that tells you you're not enough, that shame from mistakes you can't forget, that pit in your stomach when you're alone with your thoughts. All of it, death echoes life. The bardo doesn't invent. You're monsters. It magnifies the ones you never dared to name. And here's where most souls lose their way. They panic, they run, they fight shadows with more fear. But resistance only makes the illusions stronger. The deities grow louder, more chaotic, more overwhelming. The way out isn't force, it's awareness. It's realizing this fear is mine, and I can let it go. Remember this, what you avoid controls you, in life and in death. These visions aren't punishments, they're invitations, opportunities to choose liberation instead of reincarnation. And the more you understand that, the quieter the chaos becomes. The wrath fades, the truth emerges. Fear is just a teacher in disguise. Let's get personal for a second. What fear is still running your life? Is it failure, abandonment, not being good enough? What if that fear became a face in front of you tonight? What would it look like? Could you recognize it as your own creation, or would you let it drag you deeper? Because after fear comes the mirror, and what you see there, it might just change everything you believe about karma, self, and what it means to truly awaken. No more hiding, no more pretending. In the next phase of the journey, the soul is brought face to face with the great mirror. But this isn't some mystical object. It's your life played back with brutal honesty. Every word, every action, every ripple. But here's the twist. You don't just watch it, you feel it. Not just from your point of view, but from everyone else's too. That time you yelled out of frustration, you'll feel how it landed in the other heart. That moment you showed kindness without expecting anything back, you'll feel that warmth return, multiplied. This isn't punishment. It's radical awareness of impact, of karma, of truth, and it's overwhelming. Not because of some divine judgment, but because of how deeply you finally understand. You see clearly what you built and what you broke, what you avoided and what you created. The soul feels everything in total presence, and that presence is a mirror sharper than any blade. Some souls weep, some souls resist, some try to look away. But there's no skipping this part, no edits, no excuses. The great mirror strips away story and shows essence. And for many, it's the first time they truly meet themselves, not who they pretended to be, but who they became. Here's where. Your choices echo the loudest. Did you chase illusions or grow through truth? Did you stay in survival mode or awaken your consciousness? This is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Every moment was a seed. Now you harvest the garden. And some of it might shock you. Ever wondered why some people seem weighed down by invisible burdens? It's this: unprocessed guilt, missed chances for growth. Their soul remembers what their mind repressed. And now, in this sacred stillness, everything returns. But don't worry, the great mirror doesn't just reflect, it teaches. And that can be liberating. Because after you've seen yourself that clearly, what choice will you make? To return and repeat, or rise and be free? And just when you think you've seen it all, another choice appears. But this one, it doesn't wait. Now, the soul stands at a crossroads, not in front of gates or judges, but inside its own consciousness. After the mirror fades, only one question remains. Will you return or release? This is where karma becomes gravity. If the soul is still clinging to pain, to identity, to desire, it's pulled back. Reincarnation begins. Most people think rebirth is a blessing, but what if it's not always a gift, but a consequence? Every unresolved emotion becomes a magnet. Every attachment becomes a tether. The soul isn't sent back, it chooses to return unconsciously because it hasn't let go. Liberation is always an option, but few take it, because letting go feels like dying a second time. Who are you without your name, your roles, your regrets? Who are you without the story? That's the terrifying freedom offered at this moment. A total reset, a return to pure awareness. But to get there, you have to surrender everything you thought you were. Imagine standing at the edge of infinity and hesitating, just because something in you still wants closure, revenge, comfort. These tiny hooks left from your human life are enough to pull you right back into the cycle, into another body, another illusion, another test. That's samsara in action, but here's the power. The soul isn't punished for failing. It's simply given another chance. A new life, a new mask, a new maze. But it won't remember the last one. Unless you lived with deep awareness, the loop starts over. And each loop comes with more noise, more distraction, more forgetting. So if you're tired of feeling like life is just repetition, maybe it's because your soul knows it's looping. That the questions you carry now are echoes from lives before. Reincarnation isn't just a theory, it's a reflection of your inner state. And if you don't change your patterns, you inherit them again. But what if this life, yes, this one is your chance to finally break the cycle? Because once the next doorway opens, you'll only walk through if you're ready to remember who you really are. You don't prepare for death by avoiding it. You prepare by waking up to life. The soul's journey after death is shaped by the choices you make while still breathing. Not your religion, not your rituals, your awareness. The more conscious you are now, the more freedom you'll have later. Let me say this clearly. Spirituality isn't about crystals or chants. It's about clarity, about seeing through the illusion of the world before the world strips itself away. If you're still chasing approval, possessions, or perfection, you're anchoring yourself to the cycle of reincarnation, and that's a heavy anchor to carry past death. Here's the truth most people avoid. Detachment is liberation, but detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means living fully without clinging, enjoying love without needing it to define you, creating impact without seeking validation. It's the paradox of freedom. When you stop holding on so tight, you finally receive what matters most. Want to train your soul for what's next? Start with this. Journal what you're most afraid to lose. Ask yourself why. Then meditate on who you would be without those attachments. Scary, yes. Transformative, absolutely. This is soul work. And the more you do now, the less chaos you'll face in the bardo. I once met a man who spent decades climbing the corporate ladder, thinking status would bring him peace. He retired rich, but restless. Then he began shadow work, breath work, and intentional silence. For the first time, he faced his inner noise, and in that stillness, he began to remember who he was before the world told him who to be. This life is your rehearsal for death, but not in a morbid way, in a masterful way. Every day is a chance to sharpen your perception, clean your karma, and strengthen your presence. Because after death, there are no filters, and what you bring into that space is exactly what you cultivated here. So ask yourself, are you living in a way that prepares your soul for freedom? Because the hidden teachings we're about to uncover next were kept secret for a reason. Truth has power, and power threatens control. That's why for over 1,000 years, these teachings were hidden. Not because they were false, but because they were too true. They stripped away the middlemen. They placed liberation directly in your hands. And for systems built on obedience, that's dangerous. Imagine telling people they don't need temples or titles to awaken. That consciousness, not hierarchy, is the gateway. That karma, not divine punishment, is the compass. It flips the narrative. It empowers the individual. And for empires, religious or political, that kind of spiritual sovereignty is unacceptable. Few people realize this, but the Tibetan Book of the Dead, wasn't always public. It was guarded, whispered, passed only to those ready. Why? Because it gives you the blueprint to freedom and exposes the illusion that someone else holds your fate. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. And that's why it was forbidden. Not because it's mystical, but because it's practical. It hands you the mirror and says, here, look, no mediator, no dogma, just you and your soul's reflection. That's a dangerous thing for any institution built on the belief that you need them to reach the divine. Think about it. If people knew that death was just another transition and that their own inner state determined the outcome, would they still obey out of fear, or would they start asking real questions? What belief do you need to let go of today that was installed to keep you asleep? This knowledge isn't about rebellion, it's about remembrance. You were born with the map already inside you. These teachings just activate what's been buried, and that's why they've been kept from you, because an awakened human isn't easy to manipulate. An awakened human is unstoppable. And now that this wisdom is resurfacing, the question is, what will you do with it? Because even modern science is starting to catch up. For centuries, mystics spoke of consciousness beyond the body and were dismissed as dreamers. But now, science is catching up. Neuroscientists, physicists, and psychologists are discovering things ancient texts knew all along. Awareness doesn't end when the brain shuts down. Death might just be a doorway, not a dead end. Let's talk near-death experiences. Thousands report the same thing. Floating above their bodies, feeling peace, seeing light, reviewing life in vivid detail. Doctors once called it hallucination, but studies now show brain activity spikes after the heart stops. Wait, did you hear that right? After. That's not just biology, that's consciousness-breaking protocol. And then there's quantum physics. The deeper we look into matter, the more we find nothing solid. Just energy, probability, vibration. The observer effect shows reality behaves differently when observed, meaning your perception literally shapes your world. Sound familiar? It's the bardo with a lab coat on. Even Carl Jung believed that the psyche extended far beyond the brain. He studied Tibetan texts and saw them not as religion, but as maps of the inner world. Today's depth psychology echoes the same. Healing comes from integrating the unconscious, facing the illusions. Sound like the bardo again? Exactly. Some scientists now explore the idea of panpsychism, that consciousness is fundamental, not produced by the brain, but present everywhere. What ancient traditions called the clear light, they now describe as a unified field of awareness. Different words, same truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the space behind them. It's wild, right? We've spent centuries separating science and spirit, only to realize they were talking about the same thing in different dialects. One used sutras, the other used formulas, but both point to the same mystery. You are more than a body, and death doesn't erase you. It reveals you, so if even science now whispers what sages have screamed for ages, the real question becomes, how do you start living like that truth is real? Because the final test doesn't come after you die. It's already begun. This is the part no one tells you. The bardo isn't just after death. It's right here, right now. Every morning you wake up but feel numb. Every moment you scroll to escape. Every time you silence your intuition. That's the test. The illusions are already in place. And most people are sleepwalking through them. Think about it. How often? Do you react instead of reflect? Chase instead of choose? Perform instead of feel? That's not living. That's looping. The same fears, the same triggers, the same patterns. Reincarnation isn't always about another body. Sometimes it's living the same day over and over, with your soul on mute. The real bardo test is in how you live when no one's watching, when your phone's off, when you're alone with your thoughts. Are you at peace, or just distracted? Are you living with purpose or on autopilot? What does this reveal about how you've been living? Because that reflection, it matters. You want to train for death? Start by confronting the illusions you currently believe. That you need to hustle to be worthy, that success equals peace, that your past defines your future. None of that is truth. It's programming. And the longer you believe it, the harder it is to see the clear light when it comes. Here's a mini exercise. Tonight, write down the one habit that drains you and why you still do it. Be honest, not to judge yourself, but to become aware. Because what you avoid controls you. And only by facing it now do you stop it from dragging you into another unconscious lifetime. The soul doesn't wake up by accident. It wakes up when you choose to live like your choices echo beyond this body. Like your pain has purpose. Like your healing isn't just yours, it's ancestral. The test isn't coming, the test is now. And the sooner you realize that, the freer you become. So ask yourself this deeply. If you died tonight, would your soul feel complete? Because the teachings weren't given to prepare you for death. They were given to teach you how to live. So, now you know, death isn't the end. It's the mirror. And the life you're living right now, it's the training ground. The bardo doesn't begin after your final breath. It's already happening in your daily choices, in your distractions, in your denial. What are you still clinging to that could pull you back into the cycle? Are you willing to keep repeating the same patterns, or are you ready to break them? What part of your life needs to die so your soul can finally live? This isn't about changing habits. This is about changing who you're becoming. Write this down tonight. What would my soul regret if I died tomorrow? Let it guide your next move, because the soul's real liberation begins the moment you stop living like you're infinite and start living like you're awake. If this message stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone whose soul needs to hear it. Your journey might just spark theirs. And if you want to go even deeper, if this video gave you new insights about life after death, don't stop here. Click here and keep walking with me. This next video is the missing piece you didn't know you needed. Let's keep unfolding the mystery together.